So I went on a well-deserved holiday to Greece. My good friend Bea was getting married to the love of her life. And I decided to stay a few extra days. They had a destination wedding. It's pretty nice, pretty chill. I quite liked it. My first destination wedding, my first wedding this year actually. And it made me really realize and really consider that maybe it is time for love, you know? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I had a great time. And like I said, I stayed a few extra days. I went sightseeing in Greece. I went around Athens, or got to learn the culture a little bit, learn a bit more. And most importantly, I took some time to rest and recuperate. Now I've come back to London and I'm ready to tackle life head on. With all that being said, I would really, really encourage you, if you're in a position to do so, if you can afford to, or if you can just get away for a little bit of time away from your normal day-to-day life, to go on holiday or a city break or just away from your norm, I would really, really encourage you to do so, because you always come back feeling refreshed. And I'm yet to ever hear anyone say they regret going on holiday. Anyway, that's not the purpose of this episode. This episode wasn't to talk about the benefits of going away or taking a break. No, it was to talk about personal development. What is personal development? Okay, so what exactly is personal development? If I was to summarize personal development into one line, I would say personal development is looking within yourself, figuring out and taking actionable steps to improve yourself on a regular basis. Personal development can be anything you want it to be, as long as you're taking steps to be the best version of yourself in order to reach your final form. Personal development is all about improving yourself on a daily basis, hourly basis, on a consistent basis in order to be the best version of yourself. Now, I talk about it a lot. The main reason why I do this podcast is because of personal development. But I realized, you know what? I've never actually explained what exactly it is or why I think it's important. But I think it's important that we keep working ourselves on a day-to-day basis, because I ultimately want to be the best version of myself. In my mind, I have a picture of what the optimum Chris looks like, what he looks like, what he sounds like, the way he talks, the people he hangs around, what he does for work. And I work towards that on a daily basis. And I think, you know what, that's what I want for everyone. I want everyone to keep working on being the best version of themselves. Going to the gym is a form of personal development. Eating healthy is a form of personal development. Going to church, meditating, reading books, learning, taking courses, different things all contribute towards personal development. So these are some things that we do intentionally and some things we do unintentionally. But they all contribute towards being the best and optimal versions of ourselves. Any action you take to improve your quality of life can be considered personal development. Okay, so there are multiple ways to improve yourself or to develop personally, and more often than not, they fall into 5 different categories. The first one being mental. This is where you work on developing your mind, expanding your mind to fulfill your mind's full potential. Activities that take place that improve your mind are reading, listening to lectures, listening to informative podcasts, taking a course, doing classes, different things. Anything that involves you learning and expanding your mind can be considered mental personal development. 2 things that I do consistently are I like to read. The last book I actually read was How to Analyze People. Now, that's not the full name of the book, but I've included it in the bio below because the full name of the book is quite long. But I read a lot. I tried to read, I think it's a book a month. Now, I know this. Sometimes you read 52 books in a year, that's a book a week. I don't know how you find the time to, but at some point I'm going to keep working and I'll figure out how to. I've gone from reading a book a year to 2 a year to 3 a year. Now here I am doing 12 a year. So yeah, reading is important. I like to read. Second thing I do, I listen to a specific podcast. I don't listen to many podcasts, with the irony given that I have one. But I don't listen to many podcasts, but the one I do listen to religiously is the Mindset Mentor. Now, you may realize if you actually do check it out, that there are a lot of parallels between what he does and what I do. And I'll come clean, I take a lot of motivation to do this from that podcast. I feel like he doesn't look or sound like people within my community. So I figured there was an opportunity here for me to do something similar with my own spin from my community. There, I confess. The second form of development is social development. This is all about your social interactions, your communication, and your relationships. The ultimate goal here is empathy and knowing how you interact with people and improving how you interact with people and building relationships you have. And ways you can do this is practicing active listening, you can learn a new language, you can do multiple things. I kind of lack in this regard, but one thing I do consistently is active listening. When people talk to me, I don't project my thoughts and ideas onto them. I'm taking what they're saying and I try and exercise empathy when they talk to me. I don't just listen to respond or listen to reply. I actually listen to what they're talking about and take it on board. The third form is spiritual development. Now, this could be anything to anybody. I know a lot of people think religion immediately, bad, but it's actually not entirely about that. It's all about feeding your soul, feeding your spirit, reinforcing your spirituality. And it could be anything. Taking long walks in nature. Leave your phone at home, leave the music at home, just take a long walk and get connected to nature. You could be going to church, going to Bible study, studying the Quran, anything. It could be anything you want as long as you feed your spirituality and you're getting closer to the soul, you're getting closer to the universe. So anything that involves you improving and building up your spirituality comes under spiritual development. Emotional development, this is all about managing and understanding your feelings and your emotions. The aim here is to not bury how you're feeling, but to hide how you're feeling, but to learn good methods in terms of managing them. Now, examples of things you can do towards emotional development are journaling, therapy, mood tracking, speaking to your friends, speaking to family, speaking to people that you trust about how you're feeling. These all contribute towards emotional development. And the final form of development is physical development. Now, this one, as let's say you're probably thinking gym, working out, going for a walk, exercise, but these are all parts of it. These are all parts of physical development, but it also includes your sleeping habits, your eating habits, your posture when you sit down. Do you sit up straight? Do you slouch? When you're standing, do you stand up straight? Do you hunch over? So physical development also, it comes down to anything that affects your body. Sleep affects your body. Are you getting the recommended number of hours of sleep? I know people that say stuff like, oh, I can function on 3 to 4 hours sleep. I can go out on that before wake up early and get on with my day. But are you functioning at your optimum? Or are you settling for less than the best? These are things you need to think about as well when it comes to physical development. Okay, so I've broadly defined what personal development is. And you may be wondering, what's next? What do I do? Where do I start? Now, I'm not a coach, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a counselor, I'm not any of these things. But what I do want to do is improve lives and hopefully change lives. And what I will encourage you to do, or advise you to, should I say, is to work out the kind of person you want to be. Define what the optimum version of yourself is. The person who's functioning at the highest capacity. What does the person look like? What do they sound like? What do they do on a day-to-day basis? What do they do for work? What do they eat? How do they behave? How do they respond? What are their relations like with people? Figure out who that person is. Write it down even, describe it in detail, as much detail as you can. And then take a long, hard look at yourself and figure out where the discrepancies are. You know, you want to be the fittest person on the planet, you want to run marathons, you want to jog every day or every other day. Are you doing that already? If no, work out a plan on how to get there. You want to be a public speaker. Do you public speak now? No. Figure out a way to get these things done. You want to earn X amount of money. You want to be the most hardworking person in the group. You want to be a CEO. You want to be all these different things. Are you doing these things now? No. Figure out how to get there. Pick one thing. Take small steps. You want to start going to the gym? Commit to going half an hour, 1 day a week. That's your starting point. Then work your way up. From half an hour 1 day a week to half an hour 2 days a week. From half an hour 2 days a week, let's say to an hour 2 days a week. And then gradually, what works for you may not work for someone else. What works for me may not work for you. Figure out small steps you can take with that version of yourself. You You want to start reading books. You want to be that CEO that reads 2 books a year, but you don't read at all now. Figure out a plan. Is it you're going to read a page a day? Reading a page from a book takes no longer than 5 minutes. 5 minutes or less to read a page in a book. So you can commit to doing it when you wake up. You can commit to doing it on your commute to work. You can commit to doing it on your commute back from work. One day, 1 page a week. The starting point. No one takes jump right and deep and start reading a book a week. It's not feasible. It doesn't make any sense. You haven't done that before. So the chances of you to do it now are very, very slim. So it's all about committing to taking small steps to being that best version of yourself. Small steps. Every day, every week, every month, every year. Doing that. Just being the best version of yourself. The key here is progress. The key here is progress. Starting is progress. Continuing is progress. Improvement is progress. Anything you do towards being that version of yourself is progress and should be seen as a win. And like I always say, if you somehow, some way, let yourself down, maybe you commit to go to the gym, but you take a month off, or whatever, something happens that triggers you, you're not going to go anymore. Don't beat yourself up. Start again. The key is to keep going, keep trying. A new day is always a new opportunity to try again. As long as you're breathing, as long as you're alive, you should always be trying. If you can do more, if you're capable of more, then you should do more. You're doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your children a disservice, your parents, the people in your life, you're doing the world, you're doing God a disservice by not trying harder than you did yesterday. If you know you can be more, you owe it to everyone and owe it to yourself to do. Anyway, that's all I have for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. I can't tell if it was brief or not because I kind of rushed through it, but if you enjoyed this episode and you learned something new, make sure you share it with a friend, share it with a family member, and share at least with one person who will benefit from this information. And I'll leave you guys how I always leave it. That's to make a decision that future you'll be grateful for. Future you'll be grateful for prioritizing your personal development today. So until next time, guys.